Okay, so we're on episode 2 of Rossini's visit to Beethoven. He's going up the stairs. So he says, when I mounted the stairs leading to the poor lodgings of the great man, I barely mastered my emotions. When the door opened, I found myself in a sort of attic, terribly disordered and dirty. I remember particularly the ceiling. It was under the roof and showed crevices, through which the rain could not help pouring down in streams. I mean, is he exaggerating? I was asking this in the last video. It's possible that he isn't. The garret where Beethoven was composing was not in good order. The portraits of Beethoven which we know reproduce fairly well his physiognomy, but what no etcher's needle could express was the indefinable sadness spread over his features, while from under heavy eyebrows his eyes shone as from out of caverns, and though small, seemed to pierce one. The voice was soft and slightly veiled. Interesting, Stravinsky said of Schoenberg that he had this incredibly penetrating stare. When you looked at him, he seemed to be looking into your soul. And Rossini's account of Beethoven is somewhat similar here, isn't it? And then he says, when we entered, at first he paid no attention to us, but for some moments remained bent over proofs which he had just about finished. And then, raising his head, he said in fairly comprehensible Italian, only fairly comprehensible, "Ah, Rossini, you, the composer of The Barber of Seville, my congratulations, that is an excellent opera buffa. I have read it with pleasure." Just to come back to some of my comments who've said, what am I talking about? Beethoven couldn't hear anything. Well, he could hear a tiny bit, and he could read. I mean, he had a fantastic inner ear, so he could read a score. He could read Rossini's scores and hear them in his head. I've read them with pleasure, and I enjoyed myself. I mean, imagine this. Beethoven would sit with a score, apparently of Rossini's in this case, and just read through it and enjoy the opera as he went along, just reading the score. Could hear it all in his head. It will be played so long as Italian opera will exist, says Beethoven. Well, he's absolutely right. Barber of Seville is still a huge hit. And then he goes on to say, do never try your hand at anything but opera buffa. You would be doing violence to your destiny by wanting to succeed in a different genre. So Beethoven was of the opinion that Rossini had mastered comic opera, essentially opera buffa, but he shouldn't tackle serious opera. But interrupted Carpani, who was the poet who was accompanying Rossini. So Carpini said, the maestro Rossini has composed numerous serious operas, Tancredi, Otello, Moses. Not so long ago I sent them to you, suggesting that you examine them. Indeed, I did go through them, answered Beethoven, but you see, serious opera does not lie in the nature of the Italians. For the true drama, they know not enough of the science of music. How should they acquire that in Italy? It's a somewhat chauvinistic remark of which Beethoven's perfectly capable of making.